360 video has come so far in the last few years, giving people really easy access to creating unique 360 video and also using 360 footage to create incredible perspectives never before thought possible. In this video, we're going to be reviewing the GoPro Hero Max, GoPro's latest 360 camera, comparing it to some of the specs of the GoPro Hero 8, and also just giving you some detailed insight on what you should be thinking about before you purchase this camera. Check it out.
3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for tuning into my channel. Blaze here with Moves Media, and today we're reviewing the GoPro Max, GoPro's latest 360 camera. We're gonna be sharing the specs and features that are all encompassed in this camera, as well as compare it to the GoPro Hero 8, GoPro's latest action camera, and give you some recommendations on my thoughts as to which camera is better to go with, and some of the benefits and the cons with the GoPro Hero Max. So there are two main uses for a 360 camera. The first is using a 360 camera in the 360 format. Viewers, when they watch the video back, can click and scroll, look around in all directions. It's really cool if you use it on a headset. But what's more popular in today's day and age is using a 360 camera to repurpose it in conventional video format. And what you can do when you're doing that is do all kinds of unique reframing, zoom out, zoom in, super wide angles, and really impress people with never before thought possible types of video footage. So how a 360 camera works is any 360 camera is gonna have multiple lenses on it. The GoPro Max has two different lenses on it, and then what's happening is it's capturing video simultaneously, and then with the software within the camera, it's stitching those two feeds together into one seamless video sphere. And what people often get blown away by is how the camera looks like it's just floating in space. Now, if you're using some kind of monopod or selfie stick and you attach this to the GoPro, what's happening is between the two lenses and the super wide angle that they're capturing, the stick falls right in the stitch line. So it's right between where the actual lenses are capturing the field of view. So that's what creates this illusion where there's nothing actually physically there. And what's happening is the further away you are from the lens, the more it's gonna be able to capture closer towards the stitch line. So when it's in your hand, that's why the pull is kind of missing, and it actually will capture your hand that's holding the pull. So the overall build quality with the GoPro Max is really solid. It's got a nice matte black rubber outer coating. The buttons are kind of encased in this other rubber matte material, and it just feels solid overall. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break. Super sturdy feeling. The metal door window is really nice, easy to open. I actually prefer it to compared to the GoPro Hero 8. So overall build quality is really strong, really sturdy, and something that I'm definitely impressed GoPro put together. The GoPro Max is definitely smaller than its predecessor, the Fusion camera, so it's nice to have a smaller camera, just easier to use, easier to throw in your pocket, throw it in your bag, so really like that. So the GoPro Max just has one SD card. The Fusion, the Max's predecessor, used to have two SD cards that would store footage from each individual lens, but they've eliminated that, made it easier for you to manage the footage, and the camera automatically stitches the two sets of footage from each of the lenses and puts it in one file that encompasses the full 360 sphere. The battery life on the GoPro Max is actually really great, especially comparing it to the Hero 8 or previous GoPros before it. Here you go, as you can see, the GoPro 8 battery versus the GoPro Max battery. The GoPro Max, definitely bigger. It's gonna give you longer battery life. It's also gonna perform better in cold environments, so that's something I really like, and something I'm really happy about with the GoPro Max. One of the other nice things that GoPro includes with the GoPro Max are these lens caps. Now, any 360 camera, because it has lenses on either side, it's really easy to put it down and damage one of the lenses because they're just right out there, and if the camera falls over, it's gonna hit on that lens. So I always use these lens caps anytime I'm throwing it in a bag. Prevents it from scratching, protects them well, and something that I'm glad that GoPro included for the GoPro Max. One of the awesome things about a 360 camera is the invisible selfie stick look, where you can hold it out in front of you and it looks like there's nothing in your hands. Now, you do have to be careful making sure that you use the right selfie stick. You can't use the El Grande GoPro selfie stick, as you can see by this footage, it's gonna leave a really ugly black spludge in your shot. So it's because it has a wider base and you need a nice narrow base that's gonna fit under the seam line so it doesn't stitch, so it stitches properly between the two lenses. Now, I actually originally purchased the GoPro's 360 selfie stick, but I didn't like how small it was, so I actually sent it back and then got the Insta360 selfie stick for their 360 camera, and it just has a little bit more extension. It also, which is one of the most important things, has a 1/4-inch thread on the bottom, so I can attach this to any tripod, any mount, or any tripod legs. Like if I wanted to put these legs, I can just simply screw it on. So there's lots of different accessories that you can purchase with the ability to have that 1/4-inch that GoPro doesn't have on their 360 selfie stick. I did have to make a bit of a modification using this mounted 1/4-inch to GoPro mount, and I even shaved off around the base of this to really make sure that there wasn't any sort of sticking out black plastic bit that is going to be in the frame of the 360 footage when I'm taking it. This particular selfie stick is 1.2 meters. It's really sturdy and robust, and I'll also link it in the video description below if you do want to pick it up. This is what I would recommend, but make sure if you do grab it to get that 1/4-inch to GoPro mount as well, because it's a 1/4-inch thread on top and it won't just mount to your conventional GoPro fitting. Okay, so the specs of this camera. The GoPro Max shoots in 360 mode at 5.2K, 30 frames per second. You can also shoot in what they call is hero mode, which is only using one of these lenses. So it's not 360, but what it is super wide, and you can shoot at 1440 resolution, 60 frames per second. Hero mode gives you the ability to shoot in max super wide, which is an extremely wide field of view for a regular camera. Also, you can shoot in wide, which is your typical GoPro wide field of view. You can also shoot in linear, which I really like to shoot in if I'm creating any kind of conventional cinematic footage. It takes away that fisheye effect. And GoPro, or the Max, also has narrow, which I typically never use. It's just cropping your sensor really, really far down, so it's showing less than the frame. So not sure where that really functions or why you would use that, but that is a setting with the GoPro Hero Max. The GoPro Max also has time warp mode, where you can create really unique time lapses and adjust the distortion and the look of the frame or field of view. So that's a cool feature. All the functionality when you're shooting in the 360 mode is paired with an app, so you can go into the GoPro app and adjust your field of view, reframe your footage. You can also do it in Premiere Pro if you have that software or are familiar with it. So that's both those are options when editing your footage with the GoPro Hero Max. Now, I wanted to give you a really brief overview of the workflow shooting with the Max in 360 mode and reframing your footage, making it look really unique. Basically, what GoPro tried to do, in my opinion, is make this camera more designed for the regular consumer, make it easier, more user-friendly, and take away some of the extra features that a more advanced filmmaker or GoPro user would want to see. So I think they did a great job in making it relatively easy. That said, there's definitely still room for improvement. So to edit footage using the Max, basically what you're going to be doing is shooting in 360 mode, getting all kinds of different shots, different clips, and then the first thing you do is connect to the GoPro app. So when you connect to the GoPro app, basically you're going to see your footage, and you're going to have to save the footage to the GoPro app. So it's a weird extra step that I don't fully understand, but essentially what it's doing is it's prepping the footage to edit it within the GoPro app. So once you've saved it to the GoPro app, you're gonna choose your ratio. So what ratio you wanna export your footage in. If you're using, if you want it for Instagram, then you can put it in a square frame, or 9:16 if you want it to be an Instagram story. So that is a nice feature where you can set your frame and then adjust your footage to fit that frame. You're then gonna reframe your footage. This is when you can basically set keyframes, twist things around, really get creative. I will try and create a video that goes more in depth on how to reframe and edit your footage, but for the purpose of this video, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the workflow editing Max footage. So the reframe option, you can go through, reframe your footage. You can then cut down your sequence, so it's just the portion of the sequence that you want to include in your video. You can also grab screenshots from the footage itself. So if you wanted to grab a screenshot from your video, it's kind of a nice feature if you didn't take any photos, so you can just grab it right from the footage itself. You then render out your video, and it saves to the GoPro Media Gallery. So it's still not on your phone, but you're rendering it out. So it's kind of baked in all the different effects that you've created in this sequence. And then you can also do additional adjustments, additional reframes, add color, basically go through it again and have all the same editing functions. And then once you're done that, then you'll export it to your phone and it'll be on your phone itself where you can upload it to different platforms depending on where you want to share it. So this workflow I think is a little bit cumbersome still. They've improved it from how it used to be, but I think they still can do some work in making it a little more refined and having a few less steps in the whole download, render, re-download, save to app, save to phone. Definitely gets a bit confusing, but if you do follow the sequences, it is relatively easy to follow. The one thing you do need to make sure is that you have space on your phone to store the files because they are relatively large and do take up space. So there are really two things that I love about the Max. And the first is stabilization. They've done an incredible job with the software to stabilize and smooth out your footage. It also holds the perspective of whatever the shot angle is on. So it basically keeps the horizon locked and will stay on a subject no matter how you move your camera around, which is really nice for when you're reframing it and showing it back in playback. It's just nice, smooth footage that is not as obnoxious as the original 360 cameras used to be. The other thing that I love about the Max and 360 cameras in general is the invisible selfie stick and the super wide angle that you can get. If I'm snowboarding or on my skateboard, I love that you can see your whole body in the frame. You also don't see that really obnoxious selfie stick like typical GoPro footage. That said, it's not that I hate the selfie stick, it just looks so much cooler with the Max. So definitely one of the things that I love about using this camera. Now, the features I think this camera is missing, most importantly, is 60 frames per second in 360 mode. Why did they not include an option to shoot in 360? I have a 360 camera from like 2 years ago. It had at least 1080/60, and the fact they didn't include that on this GoPro just blows my mind. Slow-mo is something I love to be able to capture when I'm shooting any sort of video. So the fact that you can't do it in 360 mode just boggles my mind. I tend to think that they wanted to leave room for an upgrade. So when they do have release an upgrade, they're gonna have something to upgrade. I also think they didn't want to cannibalize the sales of their regular GoPro Hero 8 action camera. So what this kind of does without having the slow motion on the Max is there's a reason where you also need the GoPro Hero 8. Now, if they just added the extra spec, which I know they can and other 360 cameras are doing it, I don't think there's much of a use for the GoPro Hero 8. I'd probably just need the Max. I'd be able to get my slow motion. I'd be able to get my really unique wide shots. I could use this as a conventional action camera, but also have the 360 functions. So my hypothesis is that going forward, future generations of the GoPro lines are just gonna be one camera that has 360 and has the same higher frame rate and better spec shooting modes for just conventional video shooting. One of the other things that I'm really disappointed they left out on the Max was the ability to shoot a time lapse in 360 mode. You can do a time warp where it'll convert it into a video, but I like using time lapse, especially if I want to set up a tripod and take a photo of a group and be in the shot. They do have a 3-second timer, or there's also voice control, so I can say GoPro take photo and it'll take a photo, which is a nice feature, but just having that extra flexibility to throw in a time lapse, constantly take pictures, then being able to choose the best one is a feature that I like to use, but they did not include in the 360 mode. It is available in the conventional Hero mode when shooting on this camera. So overall, the Max, I do think, is a great camera. I love using it. I do wish, though, they took it that extra step forward and included those additional shooting modes. And if they did that, I would have given this thing a 10 out of 10 and recommend it to anyone who wants to get unique action footage. That said, I'll still probably use the Max more than I do than the Hero 8, but there is still use for me to use the Hero 8 because of those higher frame rates and higher resolutions. Like I said before, I think the future of these cameras is gonna be one where they'll have all the specs of the GoPro Hero 8 in the 360 Max. as well as that ability to shoot in 360. So I hope you found this video helpful, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'm gonna include some options to purchasing the selfie stick that I got, as well as the GoPro Max and the Hero 8. It really helps. I'm gonna try and start using more affiliate links, so it really helps if you use these links or if you are thinking about getting any of these cameras or their accessories. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked this video, smash that like button, consider subscribing, and stay tuned for more videos and reviews. Peace.